All right, welcome back to episode 2. This is our Jared Cowan episode. Welcome back if you watched the first episode. I know that
This
got a
Simon
laugh out of
Benoit
you.
slander here? Oh my god.
Listen, for some reason, I don't know why Jared Cowan was the first name that popped into my mind.
I love
And
that.
that's not a name I ever want
love
to
that
pop into
about
my
you.
mind again. But
I love that.
Yeah, the Simon Benoit episode. The other one was like Dan. Oh yeah, Luke Shen. I was gonna say Dan Hamuse on Vancouver.
Listen, bro,
Just
the more obscure the
crazy
better. And
pulls.
you started at the most obscure, so
Yeah, as obscure as possible. So this is episode 2. Welcome back. Obviously, I'm Dave Leo. I'm here with Cristian Ceniti. And we're gonna kind of start today with kind of getting to know us. And Cristian, before I let people into why I'm wearing what I'm wearing, I'll start off with you. How was your week?
It's a pretty good week, man. It's busy times. Yeah, like all I'll say is like me and you, we do a lot of similar stuff to what the guys over at Second Look Sports do. Yeah, busy week, fun week as always though. And yeah, let's get into some of the stuff that they did on Second Look Sports. Kind of just lay our allegiances out there for everyone to know, even if it's not hockey related, because I've said this to other people before too. I think it does matter. Like you can get a sense of just the type of team someone cheers for. Like if I just tell you I cheer for this team, you'd be like, oh, I bet you cheer for that team in this sport. So I think it's fun to get into as well.
100%.
I'm wearing this Raptors hat here today. I'm not about to say like I'm a huge Raptors fan. They're definitely like my NBA team, but basketball, it's not incredibly up there in terms of my sport rankings. But yeah, like I'm gonna cheer for the Raptors. I cheer for the Jays. We talked a little bit about them last time. Leafs we've already covered. Outside of those three, you then go to the NFL, and I'm undecided. So if you have any suggestions, anyone listening, anyone watching, I'm hearing them loud and clear. I've told these guys during this whole year
I've been pitching you on the Bills. I've been pitching you on the Bills all year.
I've heard so many pitches. I don't know. I might be listening to pitches for 5 years and still not figure out. I don't know. I can't force it, but yeah, my fan services are open to any team out there. But yeah, this is my first year like getting like more into the NFL with fantasy and stuff like that. If we move off of North America, I'm not a soccer guy, which as an Italian is basically a cardinal sin. But yeah, like I'm just laying it out there. I can't hide it. And yeah, this is where my Italian heritage does shine through. Is I'm a big Formula One guy, right? 100%. I'm trying to make up because think about it this way. We're going to do a lot of Italy talk. What is like the number 2 sport in Italy? Like after soccer, I feel like sports 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever are also just soccer, but like different leagues. Or I mean, other than Serie A, right? Like you're just going down the ranks, right?
I'll be honest. Yeah, I think it's the big Serie A, then it's like your local team, and then honestly, it could genuinely be like F1 because
that's what I'm thinking
of the
here
name.
Too.
It's the name brand. That's Ferrari.
That's what I'm thinking. Like it is a religion. It's not as much of a religion as soccer, but so yeah, big Formula One, big Ferrari guy. I don't know how much for Formula One talk we'll be having, but yeah.
Yeah, it's also a little bit tougher to have that as a religion just because of I don't know, they're just different. They're different sports. Like obviously, like it's a bit tougher. Obviously, we know which one is going to take the precedence, but there is definitely a love for Ferrari in that country, as there is in other countries across Europe, like Germany, the Netherlands.
Sport, yeah.
There's a big support across actually the world. I don't know why I'm just going to generalize Europe, but whole world.
Let's get to your get up today. I don't know what happened.
Cristian, what you lack in your love of soccer and your love of F1, it's the opposite for me. I'm soccer, European footy guy, sacrilegious too. I cheer for an English team, hence why I'm wearing my Man United gear. I do have an Italian team. I'll watch the Italian league as well, but Man United, that is my religion. Like if the Leafs are my North American religion, United is my Bible. I don't even know. It's been a tough 10 years, dude. I've supported now since I was 12. It's been a rough go. Man United, they've had a tough season. to say the least. We were the first team in England this year to fire our coach, and this is a guy that I thought when they brought him in a couple of years ago that he was going to be the guy to change the team around. They brought in a new guy from Portugal. They kind of went more wonder kid with, or he's a younger dude. He's one of the youngest managers in England right now, and they got a bit of a bump in his first couple of games, and he's had some mixed reviews now. He's been in charge over a month. The best way to make a good, technically first impression with a lot of people, though, is beating your rivals, and that they did today. They took down Man City 2-1. They did in pretty awesome fashion. Like, there's nothing better than scoring. They were down 1-0 going into like the 85th minute. They got a penalty, scored that, and then won it in the 90th, like with extra time to go, like dying minutes of the game. Just jubilation. They were playing away from home too, so to do that in front of your away support, who are notoriously like some of the rowdiest supporters in England as well, to do that in front of them, awesome. Beating the team that's kind of tormented you, that's from the same city as you looked at as a little brother for most of your life, and to see them kind of like lap you over the past decade, to kind of rub that in their face. Which, listen, at the end of the day, United has had wins over the years. Just recently, we won a cup over them last May, which was big. Like that was a huge game. But this one means so much to them because of the way that our season started. I won't lie to you, it's probably a little bit of a lost season. But anytime you get a win over City, and this is probably City at their lowest point. They haven't won a game, they have one win in their last 8 or 9 games. I forget now exactly now and this is a really, really bad stretch. Like, this is a stretch that Man City hasn't seen in well over 20 years. Like, since they've got their oil money, they haven't struggled like this in a long time. Even United at their worst hasn't had a run of games this bad. And normally it would get people fired in years past. But I think right now, City is just trying to get through the rest of the season with the guy that they have and then evaluate in the future. But at the end of the day, United, great win. Amad Diallo, United. That's all I have to say. Maybe in the future, I'll wear this stuff again. I had to do it just for today, just for the win. If they beat Liverpool at some point this season, I might throw it on again, depending on circumstances. No guarantees, but I had to for today. Beating City. The other thing too, I'm as well as a Leaf fan, I'm also a Bills fan. So we could potentially have a trifecta today. The Holy Trinity, some would say. United, Bills, Leafs. If all three could happen, I'm going to be one of the happiest people in the city, 100%.
On that note, commentary, but yeah, like I can't talk soccer, but Dave,
it's okay, dude.
I love the passion, brother. I feel it. I feel it loud and clear.
Yeah, dude. My passion for the Leafs carries over to soccer, 100%, and I'll carry that soccer passion for the two of us. But on that note, we will start off today with the Leafs. I know a lot of people were upset last week. We kind of ended it with the Leafs. This week, we're going to give the fans what they want. We're going to start it with it. I don't know if that's what they want yet, but we'll see. So in the biggest news so far recently, last night, Leafs lost against Detroit. They play again today against the Sabres. We don't really have to get into that. The biggest news, though, was Thursday night's game against oh my God, who did they play on Thursday? Why is that?
Thursday's game was against the
Ducks.
Anaheim Ducks. There you go.
The Ducks, the Duckies. I forgot about that. Producer Mando, shout out.
Yeah.
The Duckies. And Anthony Stolarz, who's been having former Duck, former Panther as well. He's been having one heck of a season. Already getting the early Vezina nods from a lot of people. he left last that game on Thursday with a lower body injury. It looked like it kind of flared up after the Ducks scored their first goal of the game. He goes down, kind of gets back up, and it looks like at first glance when I watched it back, I was like, oh, that looks like a guy who's just kind of upset with himself that puck kind of beat him clean, and he gets up and he's starting to shake his leg, and then you see it come through, and he doesn't come out for the second period, and you get cause for concern, right? We just had an update though today that the Leafs ended up placing him on IR, so for retroactive for 7 days. They placed him on Friday, so he will be eligible to come back this upcoming Friday, should that be the case. So he will only be missing the game. He would have missed yesterday, he'll miss the game today, and the game on Wednesday, hopefully be back Friday. Cristian, what are the Leafs going to do now for these next few games? Hopefully it's only the next few games, right? Like,
yeah, like you said, the 20th is when he's first eligible to be back, and based off like Berube's comments after the injury took place, he seemed way more on the optimistic side about things. I think people are a little surprised he even went on IR based on Berube's comments. And like it kind of parallels what we had with the Matthews scenario and him going off to Germany. Like that happened not only all of a sudden, but off the backs of some pretty optimistic sounding comments from the Leafs front office and coaching staff. So it's a little weird, and for it to happen again is a little frustrating. Like that's the best way to put it. Just looking at what happened there and trying to play armchair doctor, like we know this is a guy with knee problems in the past before he came to the Leafs. It's probably like a good bet to think about that being where the lower body injury is. Obviously, like, yeah, we don't have the confirmation, but that's likely what we're looking at. I kind of want to ask you about the decision to put him in net to begin with before we even look forward and see how they survive the injury, because I think that's where a lot of the talk has started, right?
There was a big talking point about that. I'll be honest. I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea how you're going to sit on this. I didn't hate the decision to ride the hot hand. Listen, at the end of the day, the Leafs went into the season knowing full well that they had two goalies that were, for lack of a better term, they are like ticking time bombs in terms of injuries. Neither of them have had the workload, and neither of them have the medical history to prove that they can have a heavier workload than what they've had. I think Anthony Stolarz coming into the season, what was his the highest
career high was like 26 or it was like 26 or 27.
I know it wasn't. It was under 30, 100%, right?
Yeah.
For a starting goaltender, for most starting goaltenders, you're
20,
looking at
28, and he played 27 last year. So that was his career high. Yeah.
So for a starting goaltender right now, you realistically, you want them in the mid 50s range, let's say. I think we're starting to see more of a decrease in the front loaded goal. Like there's not many goalies that can have those 65, 70 game workloads like Martin Brodeur and guys of that ilk of the past did. It's just not feasible anymore. But for a starting goaltender, you probably want about 50 games right now, I would say. Neither of those guys have ever proved that they can hit that. And that is not calling on their play on the ice. When they're on the ice, both of those goaltenders are fantastic. Let's put it bluntly. And behind a strong Leafs decor right now and strong defensive system, you are seeing what their talents on the ice plus a strong structured system can do. It's leading to great performances, right? Now, the Leafs knew that going in. Both of their goaltenders were ticking time bombs with injury. Joseph Woll went down the beginning of the season, missed a lot of training camp because of it. Now, Anthony Stolarz, hopefully it's that Friday timetable is that they're telling us the truth, because a lot of Leaf fans, frankly, are scared right now because this, like you mentioned, just happened with Matthews, and day to day for Matthews turned into, oh, he's in Germany. Oh, he's going to be out another couple of weeks, and it turned into like what, 10 games, 4 weeks, right? Yeah. So obviously people are worried. Uh, but I am, yeah, a little bit more optimistic. And I've been a Joseph Wall believer. I think that guy can definitely take the reins. But to the original point, I still was in agreement. Anthony Stolarz was coming off a damn fine win against the Devils the game before. I
He
would have
absolutely,
started
absolutely
him in that
stole it,
game.
right? Yeah,
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 you got to ride the hot hand. And who's to say if you start Wall in that game and it's not Wall that goes down with injury? As much as you don't want to say it, there's just no guarantee that night in night out both of those guys are going to come out healthy, basically, right? They knew
yeah.
that coming in.
There's been a lot of like revisionist history on the decision, right? Like, yeah, it's really easy to after the game look back and say he shouldn't have started. I think for me the biggest thing is no matter if it was Stolarz or Wall that you're putting in back-to-back games, you're obviously the entire Leaf season, as it has for the past 7 years, rides on the playoffs. And so, unless
Mm-hmm.
you plan on doing a Boston Bruins strategy of rotating goalies in a playoff series every game, there was going to come a time where the goalie plays back-to-back games for hopefully 7 games in a row in a playoff series. So what
Yeah.
the hell are we doing here talking about
Hopefully
that being a
more.
mistake in December? Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Assuming that someone like comes in and plays that well to start the playoffs. But yeah,
yes,
so to
100%.
me that argument is crazy to not say that he shouldn't have played in that game. Like, yes, has the rotation been working? Did it work for Boston that year? It worked fantastic in the regular season. It led to a Linus Ullmark Vezina trophy. It also then led to the Game 7 collapse against the Florida Panthers in their historic
Which,
season. Not that the two aren't
okay, yeah,
connected. Like
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
yeah. And listen, no, last year too. You're right. And last year against the Bruins, they were going with that rotation again, and they put themselves in a absolute like they just put
in a
themselves
pickle,
in a huge pickle, huge headache. Until they
100%.
decided let's go with Swayman, rode the odd hand. It looked pretty good. But yeah, you can't get to that point unless you trust your goalie to play multiple games in a row. It wasn't a back to back
100%.
in terms of days. I get that it was a busy night, that Devils game. There's going to be busy nights in the playoffs
There's
for
going to be busy
goaltenders too.
nights,
So
100%.
yeah, I do think we're in agreement there. Like I'm trying to see what the flip side of it is. That, like I said, has
The
the
flip
current
side,
formula been working? Yes.
yes.
But at
The
some
flip
point,
side,
you got to run away from that because that doesn't really work in the playoffs.
sorry, the flip side would have been if that game against the Devils went not to plan, and the original plan would have been to start him against that Ducks game, but he lets in four or
Yeah,
five, and a couple of them are ugly, and you kind of have to be like, okay, well, we need the 2 points, let's throw a Wall in, but that didn't happen. Like you got to ride the
yeah,
hot hand.
yeah.
That's my I won't be talked off that ledge. Basically,
Super quick before we can move on to we got something fun Leafs wise just about like last night's game, just kind of like the current stretch that they haven't really been playing well in. I am
yeah,
not too worried because I feel like every team has this type of stretch, even on like a championship run. Like, remember when Paul Maurice absolutely berated his team's bench against the Leafs in his first season with the Panthers on their way to their first Stanley Cup
first cup
final?
final
Like,
or
yeah,
second
every
Stanley
team.
Cup final
Yeah, well, no. So this was
in
his first.
franchise
This was his
history.
first. This
No,
was
I'm
his
saying,
first.
yeah,
Okay,
in franchise history, that would have been their second, though.
fair. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Shout out Rats. Yeah.
Shout
So
out.
I'm not too worried. It is still like we're talking about guys coming back from injury. We finally saw Bobby McMahon and Domi's getting back in there. Um, it does feel like on any given night we're just seeing a lot of like core four leading the charge, and if they're not getting it done, we don't win, right? Um, I I feel like it's going to take
I
a deadline move to fix that.
I
We can talk
was
about deadline stuff down the
I want to
line,
pose
but
you I want to pose you one question. In the Matthews era, is this team and this current like trade deadline, has there ever been a more decided target that the Leafs like need? Like I
there's
can't
a very
remember
clear need. You're saying
a
like it's
very
just get a
glaring
guy
need.
like you're saying like 3C you want, right?
They at minimum a 3C. If they can
Yeah,
get another forward who can play in the bottom six as well and kind of kick out Pontus
as an
Holmberg.
offensive, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Puntus Holmberg, the punt
Yeah.
line king over there.
Not
Yeah,
doing too
no,
great.
it's fair. I
3C,
I
dude. We were
yeah.
calling for how many years were we calling for a right D? Little did we know that those Leafs teams of the past probably needed multiple right D or D in general.
Just
This
yeah.
year, dude, 3C. Get one. Give me a Brock Nelson in. I don't know who. We'll in the coming weeks, we're definitely gonna get into it. This is like the start of trade season. Uh Talking to trades, we're kind of gonna jump into that in our next segment. Something to keep an eye out for this upcoming week for the next couple of days. Trade freeze uh, in the NHL is December 20th. If anybody has something in the works, don't be surprised if it happens between uh, the end of today, whenever you see this episode, by Thursday or Friday before that trade freeze happens, because then after that, there's going to be a couple of weeks where nothing's going to happen. And so if anybody is in talks, expect to see something happen. And we're going to talk about it soon. There's been some stuff that has happened. So I think we could kind of close off of this segment, though.
Yeah, I wish I could
Leafs,
say that the Leafs, I think, have something like in the works right now. I don't think they do.
I don't think so either.
They're juggling so much in terms of like LTIR and whatever. Like to get an impact guy in, they're gonna have to move multiple bodies, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the thing is too is they're not accruing cap space right now because they're operating in LTIR. Unlike a team like the Rangers, how everyone talks about, they had 9 mil after making the Trouba trade, and if they keep their cap as is, that will accumulate into 27 million by the trade deadline. Leafs are not in as great of a scenario. When you operate in the LTIR, you don't accrue cap space. So I kind of think we're looking at like last year, like we saw Brad show his hands that he, for a guy whose reputation is that he loves to talk trade all the time around the league, he didn't do much until the very last moments, right? So
yeah.
Until shown otherwise, I'm going to operate under that same belief that that's kind of how it's going to work. So we got lots of time to talk trade. You mentioned Brock Nelson. He's a guy on my list, but I'm still like in my preliminary look in terms of guys for this team. But yeah, I do like Brock Nelson. Maybe we take a quick break and then come back with a little more Leafs.
Yeah.
Something on the more fun side. Yeah.
The next thing on our docket, we this past
still
week
Leafs.
Still Leafs. We came across this post. Actually, Cristian brought it up to us, and he wasn't too happy with how it was. So basically, it's somebody posted the greatest Leafs defenseman since 2000. I'm going to quickly run off the list. I know Cristian can probably just throw this in post after, but I'll run it off in 1 to 8 order. We have number 1, Morgan Rielly. Number 2, Jake Gardiner, which already right there. I'm sorry I have my doubts. Number 3, Thomas Kaberle, Big Dog Tom. Number 4, the Geo Cup, Mark Giordano. Then we got number 5, big doozy here, Justin Hall. Number 6, Cody Franzen. Number 7, Brian McCabe. Fun fact, scored a goal scored an own goal. Was it not off his, or he like threw it into the Leafs net? Remember that dark days. We don't have to relitigate that. And number 8, Jake Muzzin. So off the top, dude, number 2, Jake Gardiner is wow. I don't know. So I can't say if that's like, is that an indictment on the team? Like there's 2 glaring names that we are looking at here, Jake Gardiner, Justin Hall, and you're like, how did they even like make this list? Like many self-respecting teams shouldn't have guys like that probably on the list. Teams. But the Leafs aren't a self-respecting team, right? Like, how is Thomas Kaberle not the number 2?
Yeah. So I pulled this up here. I got us Leafs defensemen since 2000, cumulative points and their points per game, with the filter being set at you have to have at least played like 20 games as a Leafs defenseman. So like you could have like some, I don't know, you might have some trade deadline acquisitions, but it'd be like you'd have to have elite trade deadline / playoffs to get into this list. Off of just one season. But anyways,
I mean, this it's looking like they're going more years of service over actual
Okay, but you know
skill.
what the thing is though? It's like where is like former Leafs captain Dion Phaneuf then? Which I know like not a
Yes, hundred
like
percent.
how is
No,
Dion Phaneuf not above goddamn Justin Hall?
dude,
Like how
Justin
is Justin
Hall.
Hall on the
Yes, yes.
list, right?
I
Yeah,
let me be fair. Cody Franson scored a couple big
I'm
playoff goals,
a
but
I love me
I
some
don't know
Cody
how.
Franson.
I
Yeah.
love him too. I don't know if he's the sixth best Leaf defenseman
No,
since
no.
2000,
Like so
and
I
not the
think
former captain.
I almost feel like the top five has to be like I feel like these are the five you need. Like you need Morgan in there. I'm fine with
Yeah,
him at number
that's number
one.
one. That's one.
Sounds good. I think you got to put Caberlet too.
Yeah.
I think Brian McCabe three.
I'm agreeing there. Yeah.
Unless you want to put Phaneuf above, maybe. Like to me, he's
I
in
don't
there. To
think
me, he's
so.
there. He's a
I
former
think
captain.
Phaneuf's a four. I think
Okay,
Phaneuf is
and then
four is
I
fine with
think
me.
I think guards gets into the five. I
Yeah.
think guards rounds out the five.
Jake Gardner makes this list, but he is not number two. That's I
Yes.
think we're in
Oh,
agreement
it's
there.
100%. 100%. I'm trying to look for like other names where it's like, who are we
So
not giving
again,
enough praise to?
like I said, are we just not we are not a self-respecting franchise if these are the eight best defensemen since
Yeah.
2000?
Okay. Yeah.
Besides Phaneuf, is there another name that we're missing? We
So
had,
okay, now I'm sorting by games played.
I
And so
guess,
that top
like
five that we just did
maybe
is who we named. It
Brian
is those
Leach.
five. So that's like a that's another like trade deadline acquisition who is
Yeah,
just incredible. But
didn't
yeah,
play enough
it's
games. I don't think.
I don't think so. Okay, number seven in games played, Luke Shen. Like he's up there, man.
He is that high, eh?
Yeah. So the thing is though,
Wow.
it's like how do you look
Played
back
over
on the
two
Luke
years,
Shen
two
original
stints.
tenure, right? Coming in with such
Yeah.
hype, a little bit of disappointment, leaves, and then you get JVR who blows the expectations out of the water. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Justin Hall does make the top 10 in games played, but like, okay, here's a great one. Justin Hall or TJ Brody. They played. Justin Hall played 9 more games than TJ Brody. They had the same amount of points. TJ Brody played 2 minutes more per game than Justin Hall, right? Like it's there's
Listen,
even that. Like you can't. I don't even think
the
you can have Justin Hall over TJ Brody.
dude, the last year of TJ Brody soured so many people on TJ
To
Brody.
me, though, it's the opposite with Justin Hall. We had one good year of Justin Hall and then a bunch of mixed bags.
That's the problem. I think Justin Hall had the 1 year. I'm confident to say at the very least, TJ Brody had two pretty solid years before it started to fall off. Like
he fell off in the first Tampa series, is what it was. He had a good regular season, fell off in the Tampa series because we were like, man, him and Jake Muzzin, what's going on here? And then the wheels fell off last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like does Jake Muzzin at 8, is that a good like I think that's a good spot for him. I'm fine with that.
I think dude, Jake Muzzin would have been a guy that if injuries, like unfortunate circumstances happen, that's a guy that probably jumps into this top 5, top 4.
Okay,
maybe.
You're right. If he plays out the contract and he's healthy, 100%. Last one,
100%.
And
Go.
I can't disrespect this man too much because loved having him. It was a pleasure having him as a Leaf. But like Mark Giordano at 4 is incredible. Like, what the hell? What the hell happened there? What the hell happened there?
Listen. If this was passion, most
passion rankings,
2000, dude, Gio's in the top. He's in the top 5.
I'm putting Luke Shen at number 1 on that. Luke Shen is 100%. Number 1 on the passion rankings, but Gio's
in the top.
He's
5.
on the podium. He's on the podium.
We would have to go through some people, but I'm comfortable.
That's for
Gio makes top 5, 100% in passion ranking. But
love that
greatest stuff. If this was like 10 years ago, oh man, he's by far and away. How crazy is it that
we have to do a passion ranking? But yeah, wrap us up on this.
We will do a passion ranking. How crazy is it that we potentially have right now on this current year's team 2 options that could jump into this list in the next 5 years? Insane. In OEL and Cristian.
I was gonna say McCabe and Tanev. I think because I like
Oh,
OEL too.
I,
OEL
I
too,
mean,
but
dude, I could
McCabe's
go
ahead
all
of
three
those
of them.
guys.
Oh, Jake
Yeah,
McCabe is currently ahead of
yeah,
probably like in the
yeah.
top 10 right now for sure. And then Chris Tanev,
That's
one more year of Chris Tanev puts him top 3. Yeah,
all
I
right.
think that's okay.
We hit our Leafs quota for today.
That's it. That's it. No more Leafs for till next week. Okay. The next thing we're gonna have to hit is there was a trade between the Anaheim Ducks and the St. Louis Blues. Anaheim, they sent Cam Fowler, who just that guy must have been in trade talks. Him and John Gibson have been in trade talks for the past 4 years. Don't know how it's never happened until right now. I think I have a pretty good idea. Cam Fowler kind of fallen off recently. Cam Fowler goes to St. Louis. The Ducks in return, they get a second round pick. They get a fourth round pick. And Cam Fowler. I'm messing this up so bad. The Ducks, they get Cam Fowler and a
No. The Blues get
and
Cam
and the
Fowler.
second round pick. Blues get Cam Fowler and the fourth. No.
Yes.
Yes, this
is awesome. I love this boys. We're cooking.
And it's you know what it is? It's the name. It's the name that I've been dreading to say
you're
over the past couple of days.
on it. Here it is.
That's what it is. The Blues, the Ducks, they get a second rounder in 2027 and minor league defenseman Jeremy Biak-Batuka.
I think Biak-Batuka, yeah.
Biak-Batuka. Elliot Friedman last night on Hockey Night in Canada.
Oh my God, he crushed it.
Nailed it first try. And
that was exactly my first thought.
It made me even more nervous to bring this up today because I'm like, how am I going to do this? So
Mando, can we get a hometown for Biak-Batuka? Is he Finnish or I'm just curious.
If I'm not mistaken, boys, I think it's Quebec. It's long.
What Jeremy?
Biak-Batuka?
It's the one. It's Longueuil or whatever that one is.
Longueuil.
Am I making sense? Longueuil. There we go. I'm not even.
It's like an EIL.
Yeah,
correct. It's one of those ones. But yeah, he's a good Quebec boy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, producer Mando. So that's the trade.
Yeah. Just run down some quick, Cam Fowler drafted by the Ducks, played 991 games, 361 assists for 457 points, 9 games away from playing 1,000. That's crazy. And in the notes here,
Mando. Yeah,
notes here, dude. It's saying that Ryan Getzlaf is the only player still in Ducks franchise history to play over 1,000 games with the organization, which is crazy because I would have thought there was I guess Timu never played that many games.
Right. Paul Correa, same thing. Same thing.
The problem with Paul Correa was the injuries. Yeah. Injuries for him. Man, Cam Fowler, loyal servant to that franchise for quite a few years.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention, it's crazy that he's first in terms of the franchise defenseman for those stats. Dude, games played, assists, and points, and GWGs. Yeah, this is the thing, longevity, right? So you know who Cam Fowler, I know you said he's fallen off, and he has. He's older than 100%. The player I'm going to compare him to. Yeah, but to me, he's Anaheim Ducks Morgan Riley. I kind of if you look at over a career, their point totals, the type of defenseman they are, where they their slot on a championship blue line. That's the Anaheim Ducks Morgan Riley right there, right? What is Cam Fowler in his prime? He's probably, I feel like he's a 3. 3. Yeah. On a championship team, I'm probably putting him a 3, a heavy 3, light 2, as Fantano would call it.
Yeah, for sure. No, 100%.
Yeah. So I actually like Cam Fowler, the player. I feel like his play falling off might have to do with the fact that it feels like he's been looking for a fresh start as much as the Ducks have been looking for one for him. I just I can't say I love the fit. I can't, right? The Blues blue line has been just this weird old veteran mishmash for a half decade now, basically ever since they signed Torrey Krug in replacement of Pietrangelo. It's Colton Parayko who's having a renaissance year right now, and a bunch of guys. Justin Falk, Nick Leddy,
and Philip Broberg.
Yes, who's injured. That's a great shout. Should not forget him, but he was phenomenal in the 16-ish games I think he played before getting injured against the Leafs. But yeah,
for sure.
I just really I question the fit. I question what Doug Armstrong's doing because by all accounts he is one of the better GMs in the league. He's someone that that we caused such a stir when the Leafs had a GM availability that we were talking about bring this guy in, and he had like no reason to leave at all. Guy literally got promoted, named his already next GM like 3 years in advance. Like he's kaput.
Dude, he's
brought in Montgomery. Like
that guy is the king of St. Louis. He brought them a cup.
Yeah, he's like a
Hand
Messiah.
him the keys.
He's Messiah. He's St. Louis Messiah. So we got Ducks Morgan Riley and St. Louis Messiah, but I don't really get it. I don't really get it. I don't know if the Blues are just really pushing hard for this one playoff entry for whatever reason, but they really should be looking to turn over their roster more. Sure. I don't know. I'm gonna need to understand what the master plans are from Dougie Armstrong here. It's just a very weird.
It definitely seems like that in a time where it seems like I think the Ducks should have went more strip it down in recent years than they have, especially after firing Berube, which hey, thanks a lot, guys. Love him so far. I feel like they should have done more of a hard reset than a quick turnaround, I think. Yeah.
Like they just they ripped off the wallpaper, maybe did some refurnishing in the kitchen. We should have went right down to the we should have renovated the entire basement. Like we needed to I agree.
For sure. So just a quick couple of quick points here. Fowler has 1 more year on his deal at 6.5, which with the cap going up doesn't look as not palatable as it might have been.
I think there is retention. I think on this deal though too. I think it's
there is, boys. I'll just jump in on this. I was just reading an article. Sportsnet Jason Bukala did have a good kind of breakdown on why this trade was made, but he also did detail that $2.5 million is being retained by Anaheim, so it's just a $4 million cap hit for the Blues.
I believe that's also the first retention spot that the Ducks are using. So they can potentially take on more money if should they want to going forward.
We talked about last episode, trying
the
to
Sharks
flip
at their mouths.
Okay.
So
all right. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
No. Honestly, other than that, the Blues they're mid. They're just. I think adding a coach like Jim Montgomery probably gives them. It gives me the impression that they think that they can win a round. And if you win a round in the playoffs, maybe you win 2. I don't know. I don't see them as going any farther than a second round, honestly. Are they gonna try to flip them after this year? I don't know. I think they might, unless he just has a career renaissance and we are talking absolute ruckus.
Speaking of flipping, you're done on this trade? I was
going to start moving on, honestly. Okay.
I just think really quick on the other trade that happened earlier in the week, you mentioned San Jose there. San Jose and Colorado made a bit of a bigger deal. We have the details for that.
Anytime you deal goaltenders, so the Avs, they got Mackenzie Blackwood, Giovanni Smith, and a 2027 fifth rounder from the Sharks for Alexander Georgiev, who Stanley Cup champion Alexander Georgiev, Nikolai Kovalenko, 2026 second, 2025 fifth. It's a couple of nice picks there. And obviously that is a goalie for goalie swap, a Alexander Georgiev who has been cooked all season. He has looked awful. And that was really bad for my fantasy team because I thought he was going to be a bit of a workhorse this year and pick up some cheap wins.
He was going to be cooking and not cooked.
So, I didn't expect him to be this bad. I didn't have high expectations, but man,
so 19 games played, 873 save percentage.
Bad.
Sources are saying not good.
Mackenzie Blackwood, bad record, very, very good save percentage, and actually, relatively speaking, considering, we could also pose this to the Sharks believer in this call, if you want. If not, I mean, I really like the deal. I really like the deal for the Avs, man. I think Mackenzie Blackwood is a pretty solid goaltender. It's
20 games played, 913 for Blackwood, just for comparison.
On that, sorry, Mando, but on that Sharks team, 913 is the new 945, basically.
I'm going to jump on camera, just make a quick appearance for the kids at home. Yeah, no, listen, ultimately, I just think this is just great asset management from Mike Greer's perspective, because when the Blackwood was originally traded from the Devils to the Sharks, it was for a 6th-round pick. And now Greer was able to flip a pretty decent goaltender who is one of those, like, I compare him a lot to John Gibson, a guy who likes more shots. He kind of needs to get into the action in order to play well. So like I said, the Devils picked up a 6th-round pick for him from the Sharks, and then the Sharks were able to flip him for the haul that you mentioned, Dave, that 2nd-rounder.
You get a player out of it.
We got a player out of it, right? And Kovalenko, I think, put up 3 assists in his debut, or at least his 2nd or 3rd game with the Sharks. So, is that going to last? I don't know, but I don't really know much about this kid. He could maybe be a depth forward, maybe your middle 6. But I just think asset management wise, it's great. Yeah. And really, like we said, boys, are the Sharks really making a run this year? They're probably bottom 6, bottom 7, and they're playing well. So I think it's just one of those good moves. And then, Colorado has the Wood boys now holding them down. And
they got a forest, man.
They got a forest. So much wood on that team.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
What Scott Wedgwood and Miles Wood, for anyone who doesn't know.
Wood, Scott Wedgwood.
I'll take that point one step further, Mando, is like you took Blackwood from a 6th to a 2nd. Can you not do the same thing with Georgiev potentially, right? Like, we talk about a goalie who might need to face a ton of shots. Dave's telling me, hell no. Once upon a time, Alexander Georgiev was the one stonewalling the Leafs. Like, we used to fear this guy when he was with the Rangers.
Once upon a time,
and we know about the Rangers' porous defense of late. Like, this isn't the worst reclamation project idea in the world from San Jose. So I would. And listen, you got a 2nd with Georgiev, so it's not pressing that you need to get even more excess value out of him. It's just something that could happen. How many people thought they could get that much excess value out of Blackwood? I was concerned. He was a guy who wasn't healthy, was on the Devils team that had everything but goaltending. So I think crazier things could happen. So I really like that move for San Jose, honestly.
Just throwback to when Alexander Georgiev was the only thing stopping Igor Shesterkin from flourishing in New York, right? Big reason why they had to get why they lost him, and he got paid in Colorado. Yeah. Had a pretty good run there.
He also punched Tony DeAngelo at that one time.
He did do that too. He did give Tony DeAngelo the left hook from hell. On that note, we can kind of just move forward here. JT Miller, a lot of Canuck, a lot of people were confused and also a bit concerned when they heard that JT Miller was taking time away. He missed 10 games. Taking time away.
Took an indefinite leave of absence. Right? Like, the timing was interesting too. It was coming off of him being benched.
Yes,
which was right.
Very weird, and also I was gonna say kind of coming out of nowhere, but also the reasons we were given was kind of kept private. So a lot of people were rightly concerned. He's a guy who's only missed 4 games in the last 3 years. I would have never pegged him to be Mr. Durable, honestly, but I guess the numbers are telling me so. So I'll believe them. He comes back. He has 2 assists in his return back against Florida. Cristian, do you think that we deserve to know what was going on with JT Miller over this past time?
And no. Well, I think what sucked about it is how noisy it got. Like, I think the front office, not just once but twice, had to kind of speak up about, we're not going to tell you what's going on here. I think with something like this, it's definitely not our prerogative. Especially comparing it to the Matthews thing, where it's you were told one thing, but then you see another. And really, we weren't told about the Germany thing. That came through the media, right? Yes. And Brad didn't call a press conference until that got out. He had no plans to tell us that if we didn't come to learn it in other ways, right? I don't think, especially because he did not enter the player assistance program too, right? And I'm not sure if it actually needs to be disclosed what's going on if you go through that program. But either way, he made his choice not to do it that way. He did it on his own terms. I don't think we need to be privy to that. I'm trying to think if there was a better way for him to ease himself back into the limelight than kind of stepping in front of the media and saying, just so you know, I'm not going to talk about it. Like, I think you kind of have to be abrupt and just put up that stone wall there. Is there really a softer way to go about it? You set your boundaries on that, and I think we just kind of have to respect them. I don't know if you've got a different perspective.
It's almost kind of like going out the same way that he's going to be coming back in. Like, as much
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
As much as it was like a shock and a bit of a trying time when he's removed, I think the best way to kind of go through something like that is to just rip the Band-Aid off, and credit for him for getting in front of the cameras after everything's gone on. And obviously he's not going to go into details about what happened, but he still has the strength and courage to get up and say, basically, hey, I'm not going to be talking about it, but if you want to ask me any other questions before we get set, he's like, I'm ready to go. And obviously he was, because like I said, he put up a couple assists against the Florida Panthers. Good for him. Hopefully everything is all right, and whatever was ailing him or whatever it was that was going on before has reared its ugly head already, and he's gotten over it, and he can just get back to playing hockey, because JT Miller at his best is a damn good hockey player, and we wish him all the best. Like,
it's safe to say that guy is the heartbeat of their team, like the emotional heartbeat of the team. I think it's JT Miller, right?
Very
big passion guy. Which is not crazy, but like in hindsight, JT Miller wasn't always this player. Like, when he entered the league with the New York Rangers, I kind of always looked at him as like, oh, this guy's like a middle six kind of guy. Like, he'll play some third line, maybe get onto the second line if there's injuries. Got traded to Tampa on, I think, on one of their championship rosters there.
Yes,
and it was kind of a weird fit. It was a weird fit. There was like no room for him. And then all of a sudden he comes to Vancouver in a deal that a lot of people criticize because they traded a first-round pick for him. And he was a whole new person on the ice, but also off the ice. Like, I don't think any of us had a clue what type of leader and what type of person JT Miller was in the locker room until he got to Vancouver. And even in Vancouver, there was trying times where, Dave, I remember me and you having conversations about, this guy sucks defensively. What the hell is this guy goddamn doing? And he's not that guy. He's not that guy anymore. He's turned himself around more times than once. And he's hopefully done so again personally here, right? Yeah.
Coincidentally, that turnaround seemed to happen right when Rick Tocchet came into town. It looks like he has to be, out of everybody on that team, I think Rick Tocchet has probably had the most. Now I don't know exactly how they are in behind like closed doors, but on the ice,
two big personalities for sure, right?
Yeah. On the ice, I don't think anybody on the team has benefited more than the arrival of Rick Tocchet than JT Miller has. He's been like a new player under him, because I do remember those conversations we had. That he was, and rightly so, when we criticized him, he was awful, and a lot of people were criticizing him, which was fair game at the time. But he has managed to turn it around and become one of the leaders on that team. And like I said, obviously, we hope everything is all right and is good with him, and that he can kind of just getting back to being the leader that Vancouver needs right now, right?
Rick Tocchet, Phil Kessel whisperer, and evidently JT Miller whisperer, right? Maybe we move on to Washington Capitals.
Yes. That was going to be my next point. And from somebody who just returned to the ice to another guy who I am begging and pleading to come to get back onto the ice very, very soon. It's honestly ridiculous. There's a blog out there for all of you that may or may not know, that's called The Russian Machine Never Breaks. And man, oh man, it really looked like the Russian machine broke when Alexander Ovechkin went down with his leg injury just over a month ago. And dude, when he went down, I was like, oh my God, the goal record is in serious jeopardy. And what is it, less than 20 days after he was it his tibia
I think it
that he
was. I
broke?
believe it was tibia. Yeah, yeah.
I forget now if it was the fibia or the tibia. I always get those confused. He breaks his tibia, and dude, 20 days later, he's back on the ice, like a just a mutant. Like, is there any other word to describe Alexander Ovechkin apart from the 800 plus goals that this guy scored than mutant? Like, this guy is recovering, like an alien, dude. We've
He
never
went into
seen anything.
he went to the cryo chamber.
Dude, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was a clone that we saw on
And
the ice.
and
Like, I
and
have no clue.
who did he so he went into the cryo chamber, got out of it, and went to the guy in the cryo chamber beside him. Who did he bring out? Who did he
Oh,
bring
Nick
out of the
Backstrom.
cryo chamber? He brought out Nick Backstrom from his
He did
cryo
bring on Nick
chamber, man.
Backstrom.
Oh, what a story,
Well, listen,
man.
I don't know if we're gonna see Nick Backstrom
Yeah,
again.
sorry. Listen,
Like,
yeah.
I think Nick Backstrom's gonna be going back into the crowd chamber, but Alex Ovechkin, he's went to his first practice a few days ago and was sporting a non-contact jersey, which doesn't mean that he's imminent to return ASA like soon, but it is very, very
It's
very,
like
very
soon with
positive
an
sign.
asterisk. It's like soon-ish.
Soonish, yeah, for sure.
Soonish. 27 goals away from beating Gretz, Davo.
Does he
what are
get
we
it
saying
this year?
here? What are we saying?
I always like the over. I'm gonna still take the over. He's if he comes back on January 1st, producer Mandarino was telling me that he has 45 games to get 27 goals. He's got 15 and 18. Listen, I'm not the math man here, but 15 and 18. If he's probably going to slow down on that pace, but optimistic Dave, with Ovi on my fantasy team, I'm saying he hits the over on 27 and breaks the record.
I like how you said I'm not the math man, as if there was a math man here, David. We got no goddamn math man, bro. But no, I think sources do say that that's good math. I think so. But like to play the opposition here. As much as I want to see him break it, how cool would it be? Not cool, because this would be a roller coaster ride, right?
Yeah.
It's like, imagine he gets within a couple goals. We have Gretz appearing to all these games, and he just can't get those final couple ones across the line. And then we have an entire offseason of buildup because we know it's coming. I almost wouldn't hate to see that. Like, it's like it's a sadistic take on this, but I feel like there could be a lot of cool content to come out of trying to build up an entire goddamn season of knowing it's coming.
I will quickly counterpoint that. That is a very Aaron Judge type of take. Like, it took Aaron Judge how many games between 60 to get to 61 to break or 61 to get to 62 to break the all-time American League record. They had Roger Maris's family on multiple road trips, different plane rides to go to different cities, because Aaron went into picked the absolute worst time to go into a slump. But on that note, Alex Ovechkin has never been that type of, like, he is always the guy when he's approaching a milestone, he powers right through it. And this is the ultimate of ultimate milestones. So I'm going to back the over getting the goal record this season. 45 games to get 27 goals. Let's see it happen. The guy doesn't need his legs. All he needs is that shot. Just stand in one spot, Ovi, keep ripping one-timers, and you got it, pal.
Can I pose a scenario real quick, boys? This is
go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
All right. So like we were saying, there's 45 games left. If you were to return Jan 2nd, I think they play the Wild. This is just assuming because he's getting close, right? He's got the break, obviously, to take some time. So let's say he's got 26 or maybe 25, right? There's a goal behind actually tying the record. Boys, the Washington Capitals finished this season against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Ooh.
Against my
no
boy
matter
Sid.
what, yeah.
So I'm just saying, I don't know if I want to see Sid on the ice. I think Sid would rather two-hand Ovechkin in the teeth if he has an empty net and he's about to score on him. But I'm just curious what that would look like if that were even a scenario. Like the media would probably go nuts if it was even an option.
That would definitely be like there will be if that happens, there's a movie already in the works written by Disney. Get Jon Favreau on the phone. Call up the people that make the Marvel Cinematic Universe for all I care. Get somebody involved, because that would be the fairy tale ending to probably a 20-year-long story, with the final chapter honestly about to be written for both of those guys, and what a more fitting way to do it against like with both of them in the same game, right? Like
it's the fairy tale.
Has two players like ever come into the league at the same time and kind of, I wouldn't say clashed heads, but that's like some Messi and Ronaldo type stuff. If
that's exactly what I was going to bring up, right? It's like it's Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer. It's just like it has to
go
be
down the list.
It has to, yeah. So I think one way or another, it's going to be absolute cinema, right? And yeah, it reminds me of like I was really drawn into the Albert Pujols chase for 700 that really felt in doubt in the end of his time with the Angels, and then he makes the return to St. Louis, and he just puts that old man power to use and absolutely destroys smashing the ball in his final year.
Quick asterisk on that one. His the one that broke the 700 record was a meatball. Like that was a gift. I remember.
You think so? Like,
oh, dude, they served him up a meatball sandwich.
Okay,
but
there's 699.
Yes. If anybody can get a meatball served to them, it's Albert Pujols, and that's in that scenario. And if anybody can get a meatball served to them right now, it should be Alex Ovechkin.
The other thing too, though, is I think Pujols, I think he got like 2 or 3 more. Like I don't think he didn't finish his career on 700s.
Yeah, that wasn't the last one
or something. So there's that. But yeah, my point is, I think you could you are going to draw in a ton of non-hockey people to this story the closer we get, which is just great for the sport, right?
For sure,
so
100%.
I'm really excited to see how this all ends up, and we won't get too much into it here, but just the goddamn shout out to the Washington Capitals, who are second in the freaking league right now in the standings, 44 points. They're a point behind Winnipeg with 3 games in hand on them. They could be in first here real quick, as the Leafs are down 2-0 the Buffalo Sabres. As Nick Castellanos hits a drive into deep left.
Don't ruin it for me. Are you serious?
Oh my! I didn't know.
I mean, I was gonna find out after we were done, but it's okay.
I feel bad now because I always tell Dave, and I tell my people I work with, to not spoil the scoring. I thought we had it. I'm sorry. I thought you had it on, Dave. But
it's okay.
Maybe I'm saving you some time right now. But anyways,
we're going to take just another. We'll do another quick break, and we're going to get into our last segment, which is going to be a really good one.
Oh, it's going to be good.
All right, guys. So as we kind of wind down on this episode, we are going to bring in producer Alex Mandarino in for the Italian trio, because Cristian has promised us something awesome. So I don't even remember how this like all started. Cristian, you want to just kind of explain what you did and where this idea came from?
Yeah, sure. This original report, credit to Bernd Freimuller on Twitter here, or X, if you want to call it that, confirmed by several sources. The NHL is eager to allow their players with Italian ancestors to play for Italy at the 2026 Olympics. That would mean bypassing the 16th month rules that players have to play in Italy to be eligible. We'll see what the IIHF has to say about this. I think we then got some more info that Chris Johnston put out, basically saying that it's going to have to be by the IIHF's rules, which is you need to have an Italian passport and play a couple seasons over there. But this original report, which I think still has a chance, this is a negotiation. They want to get NHL players onto this team, okay? And so I think at that point, all you need is Italian passport, kind of like the Joey Decord scenario. So I went ahead here, took it upon myself to put together an entire dream Italian team for 2026 with the best players in the NHL that have Italian heritage. We used some sources to kind of verify this. There's a list that a guy has put out. I think it's on italiansareus.com. Check it out, where he's accumulated all of the guys. I did some digging myself, found out some other guys that aren't on the list have some Italian heritage according to other sources online. So we're going to go ahead and start with the staff.
I just want to preface this. Listen, if I have to go to the double IHF headquarters with a petition in my hand for this to go through, I will do it, because I don't even need to know the players on this list, because I know you're gonna absolutely cook with this segment. But dude, man, oh man, good, how much fun would this be?
It would be so much fun. And this is under the assumption that like these guys would forego playing for like their primary countries, like guys who have like played for Canada, just say screw it. Amanda was like, what if they just all team together and say, damn it, boys, we're going to Italy. We're just gonna have some fun in Milan. We're gonna play for the home fans, right?
Vibe out in Milan, dude.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start with the staff. Front office and coaching here just came through for you guys. So
there you go.
Front office, I haven't like labeled them as like GM or assistant, whatever. I've just got 3 front office executives here: Lou Lamoriello, Dean Lombardi, and Bill Zito. You gotta have Lou. Like, Lou's having a time of his life, which means no facial hair on this team. But man, Lou on this squad,
that would suck. That would suck for those the Italians, as you know, big
They're gifted. We're gifted.
Big hairy dudes. So it's gonna be tough for those for Giovanni Aguzzino to cut off his locks. But dude, you almost get like the past, present, future of like NHL GMing here. Like in Lou won all those cups with the Devils for like over the like 20-year span. You get Dean Lombardi, who won multiple cups with LA, and now Bill Zito, recent cup champ and
defending cup champ, brother. Yeah, like there's some winning pedigree here. And then on the coaching side, John Tortorella, Rick Tocchet, and Joe Sacco. Who's head coach here? Like, I think you got to go Torts. Like a Lamoriello Torts
for sure.
Torts for sure.
These guys are going to be coached hard. Like, there's no like, hey, let's go get some olive oil, maybe a little like penne alla vodka in between games. None of that. Head down, and we're gonna go again. So these guys are gonna be in order for sure. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, if the head coaches weren't going to do it, Lou was going to probably do that himself. So it's probably for the best that they get like Torts in there to keep the guys in line. But dude, I love this already. Like, I don't even need to see the players. If they just sent these 6 guys over, I would be happy enough. Yeah. Well,
let's move on though. Yeah. Yeah, I think you gotta go towards here. Okay, just sent the goalies over.
Okay,
you've got Sebastian. Listen. This is not. Yeah, listen. It's not as great. Sebastian Cosa, he's a top prospect for the Red Wings. Okay, like he's got some pedigree. I want to say drafted in the first or second round. Damian Clara, who is the highest drafted Italian-born goaltender of all time. I think this past year, 2 years ago, by the Anaheim Ducks, second round pick, 6'6". This guy, so he's like this is our Gigi Donnarumma over here, okay?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
and then you got Michael DiPietro, who was once upon a time like he represented Canada on the World Junior stage. He's still kicking around in the Bruins org. Like that's what we're dealing with. Any comments on this ragtag trio of goaltenders? There's some promise there, boys.
The future's bright. The future's bright, maybe in 2032 or 2034. But right now, it's the Canadian team were already conversating about. Okay, is that a tough? They're gonna.
Is it Jordan Bennington?
Exactly.
I think this makes Jordan Bennington look like Marty Brodeur, right?
100%. That's where I'll leave it.
They're kicking for a goaltender here. Okay, well that listen, that's fine.
Okay. Blue line time. Blue line time here. First pairing, Alex Pietrangelo and John Carlson. Dylan DeMello, Brett Pesce on the second
it.
pair, and you round it out with Mario Ferraro and John Marino. On the outside looking in, as some scratches coming along, is Brandon Carlo and Dante Fabro. Guys, you can do some work with this score. You can do some work.
Dante Fabro as a scratch. That's kind of wild. That Italy is. They've come from nothing to have Dante Fabro as a scratch. That's crazy, dude. I don't know who's on the forward court, but does Alex Pietrangelo not automatically get the C for this team?
I did try to project that. I don't think I don't have it here in the graphic, but I was like, yeah, like Petro gets the C. I do think that's the way you gotta go.
I need some context here from John Carlson, Christian. I don't know how deep you dug.
I know he's sliding in here.
How do we know like what happened here?
We dug deep here. We dug deep, right? So listen, we did our first episode and we talked about John Carlson as a snub on the US team. This guy might have to change his name, go with a different spelling, and maybe they'll take him on. But it turns out he's married to a very Italian girlfriend, now wife, Gina Nucci. They've got some kid. He's got a son, Luca Nucci, with two C's, I'm pretty sure. And this guy, like he grew up, I think, northeastern US. I don't want to put him in the wrong spot here, but he's half Swedish, half Italian. That's his heritage there. So when we joked about him being on like the Swedish squad, he's got some reason for that. And same goes for an Italian squad, boys. John Carlson, Giovanni Carlo.
Yeah, we'll just give him a name change. It's okay. Giovanni Carlsino, I guess.
Whatever it is, man. Like he's up there. He's there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
Impressive.
I'm really liking these D pairs. It definitely makes that goaltending trio a lot more palatable.
Yeah.
Kind of insulates them a little bit.
One thing I did notice is like there's an absolute plethora of right-handed defensemen in the Italian organization here, right? Like I'm putting Pietrangelo and Carlson together because Marino's a righty, DeMello's a righty, Pesci's a righty. The only lefty here is Mario Ferraro. Fabro's a righty, and so is Carlo. So lots of righties. And Dave, you're a righty too, because I'm a righty.
I am a righty.
Right?
I'm a righty too. I'm a righty.
What the
fellas? Wait a minute. What's going on?
I don't know. Boys? I was gonna say I thought the three of us probably could have made if this doesn't go through, I think the three of us have a pretty good chance of making that roster in 2026.
There you go. I'll take it.
They can use some right D, that's for sure. I'll tell you that.
All right. It's time for up front. Forwards just came through here.
Oh, wow.
First line, Macklin Celebrini, Gabe Velarde, Mats Zuccarello. Second line of Vinny Trocheck, Anthony Cirelli, good Woodbridge boy there, Frank Vetrano. Third line, Cole Perfetti, Adam Fantilli, Tyler Toffoli. What are we going to call it? The triple I line?
All I line.
Right?
Yeah.
We got Nick Foligno.
That's the double IHF line.
Yeah,
it's getting
triple IHF line, brother. Nick Foligno, Shane Pinto, and Kyle Palmieri on your fourth line, and some healthy scratches in Max Pacioretty and Matt Coronado. So, guys, that's a formidable forward core, right? Like you can run those lines no problem in an international tournament.
I'd be licking my lips.
You got a bit of everything here. I mean, look, boys, you have some youth and you have some of the more veteran presence in like guys like Zuccarello, Palmieri, and Foligno, who can kind of be your dressing room guys, bringing guys like Celebrini into the mix, Fantilli being like, hey, boys, we're going to get this first Olympics under our belts, kind of get a little bit of momentum. We might not win, but maybe the next time you guys lead the charge. But you said it earlier too, though, Dave. I think looking at this forward core, and Christian, you seem to already predict it, so you might have already been ahead in this mix, but I can see Petro kind of hanging on to the C here. Some good forward depth, but there's a bit of everything. I feel like you have an opportunity to kind of compete at least, maybe not get some wins, but it's a decent score.
My God.
I think like this team is as good as like the Finnish team, like that the Four Nations tournament. Like you're going head to head with Finland here, man. I think so.
Okay, I don't know if I'd go that. I'm gonna just pump. I love me a little bit of sauce with my pasta. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna go that far just yet.
You're missing a little bit of star power. Yeah, that's
honestly for me. It's really the goaltending that's gonna set them back.
Very fair.
But my God, what a second line of Vinny Trocheck, Anthony Cirelli, and Frank Vetrano just not pummel people into the dirt.
I put
100%.
I put a check in line together there. I tried. I'm just gonna run off some names that didn't make the roster to give you guys an idea of the depth that.
That's crazy.
Like like this isn't on the graphic.
I know
what do you got there?
I know one right away that didn't make this roster, and I thought honestly he was going to make it, but I didn't realize how much depth there was. Andrew Mangiapane, dude.
Yeah, so Mangiapane. I cut Tyler Bertuzzi, Ryan Donato, Marcus Foligno, Alex Iafallo, Luca Evangelista. Dave's a big Luca Del Bel Belluz guy who's currently, at least as of when I checked yesterday, tied in scoring in the AHL across the entire league. He's tied for first in scoring. So he's on his way.
Baby. Love him.
Phil Tomasino, Sonny Milano, Anthony Mantha, Nola Chari, Michael Amadio, Robbie Fabry. Like, guys, I left off a ton of forwards. Okay. Defense, not really. The only guy I left off was Gio, but in limbo right now, not retired, maybe retired. He's there. If we need an emergency call up, Gio's coming, right? And then like our goal is those are the three. Like, good luck with. I don't know who else is coming.
Well, listen, I would imagine if Sebastian Cossa is our starter, there wasn't many choices after that.
I'm telling you, boys, Damian Clara over there, he could be something. I'm not kidding. And then we got some jerseys to round it out, boys. How do we think about these threads? I think they'd look pretty freaking good in this jersey.
I like them. I like them. You got the baby blue, like very similar to Azuri, right, in terms of the color scheme. But like, I think I'd pick up one with a little Celebrini 71 on the back. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Maybe we get an Anthony Sorelli 71 on there as well.
There you go.
Oh man, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with the roster, right? So that wraps it up, boys. That was the Italian dream team in 2026. I hope we see just a semblance of this. Maybe Matt Zuccarello says, he's faithful to Norway, and Matt Celebrini too busy ripping it up on the actual Canadian squad. But guys, we just talked about it. There's depth that you can put an NHL caliber roster together here. I think it'd be so cool to see.
I like it. I like the concept.
If you give me, let's say 5 of these guys, 5 to 6 of these guys, just like, maybe a line, couple D. I mean, those goalies, they're not sniffing the Canadian roster or whatever, the American roster anytime soon. I could probably see them maybe going, but literally give me 3 of those forwards just to have a good time. Man, I'm
tuning into those games. I'm tuning in.
Yeah, I'm definitely tuning in. I might have. I don't know if I cheer against the Canadian team just because we haven't seen it in so long, but definitely keep an eye out for the Italians. That's for sure.
Alrighty, Mando, you wanna take over from here?
Let me jump in here, boys. So we had kind of a discussion offline. I feel like what might be fun is to kind of get some trivia going around out the each podcast here. I know you boys have had some experience with the trivia in previous iterations of your pods. We'll start with one that might be easy depending on how dialed you guys in are to some outdoor games. So there was a recent announcement, I don't know if anyone had a chance, of a pretty unconventional market likely to get a outdoor game sometime in the 2025-2026 season. First and foremost, did you guys see this report, or can I add this to a part of the trivia question, that a team that might get an outdoor game next season?
You can answer the question because I have no idea.
I'm assuming where Amanda's going with this is how many teams have participated, or who hasn't participated in an outdoor game? Who's left?
Let's get the question going. So 29 out of 32 teams have played in an outdoor game in the past. Okay. There might be some that are set up, but I don't count those towards having played. Okay. You have to have physically stepped on the ice. Can you name the 3 teams in the NHL that have not ever played an outdoor game, Stadium Series, Winter Classic, or anything similar to that?
One of them has to be the Blue Jackets because they are getting their first very soon, if I'm not mistaken. Are they not playing at Ohio State Stadium?
Dave, you absolutely nailed it, buddy. 2025 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series. I don't know why they had 14 sponsorships there. Regardless, the Red Wings will be playing the Blue Jackets at Ohio Stadium.
That's a solid matchup, man. That's going to be insane.
It is.
Don't bring any of the Michigan or Ohio State fans into that stadium, because we saw the madness that could happen when a team from Detroit, team from Michigan takes a team takes against a team from Ohio.
Oh yeah,
at that stadium, or either
it.
that or get
some great
security.
timing.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they planned it well. That's actually March 1st of this upcoming 2025. So the next.
So it's coming up, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so we got Columbus. Seattle.
Yeah.
My next one was like Seattle, but they played
Winter
Seattle
Classic. Yeah,
played.
I think I have the other two, but Dave, you got an inkling one way or another?
Well, it's got to be a team that's just not feasibly not good.
So Mando just said there's one more planned. There's one planned.
So is there one? Is one team going to be also shedding this upcoming year?
It's 20. He said it was announced for 2026.
I don't know. It was kind of reported, so it's like gonna happen, but there's no date finalized. The idea is it's supposed to be not this coming calendar year, but the next NHL season.
I feel like I don't think the Jets have got one since they've come back to the league. Are the Jets on this list?
No, they're good.
Did they get? They got a Heritage Classic. That's what they got.
Yeah, I think they've had. They've had multiple. Yeah, they always get it's always like a Heritage with Edmonton.
I forgot about those stupid Heritage. Listen. Yeah. I don't mean to like,
and the power rankings for outdoor games like Heritage
that's the bottom tier one.
Like I put Heritage like a stadium series. It depends on the matchup, right? Like we had some interesting stadium series. We had like Levi Stadium series, right? That was a cool one. So that was a cool one. Like, unconventional though. But so
you got
Florida,
Christian. I think Florida is one. Florida
that's
is
the planned one, and that's supposed to be. And that's supposed to be at the Marlins Stadium.
Yes,
right?
Lone Depot Park. Yeah. So I think there's like
is that what that's called?
Lone Depot Park. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. That's a trash franchise.
I just call it stadium with the fountain thingy that they didn't.
They got rid of it. They got rid of it because it was awful. Because it was just ugly.
That's all I remember. That's all I remember about that ballpark.
Hey guys, I don't know whose idea. Sorry, just one thing before we jump ahead. I don't know whose idea was to throw a 300-foot fountain, a 400 like dead center in a baseball field where you got to hit home runs to. Who thought that was a good idea?
It's better than what's the Houston one? What was it called? Towels Hill or something? Hill? Right?
Okay, so that impeded play. That's a tough look. Yeah,
that's but okay. The other teams, they're brand new, Dave. They haven't even played they have played more.
Oh, Utah. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. So Arizona, because Arizona never even got one in their franchise history, right? Like they didn't.
I don't think so.
No, they were awful. I'm not surprised.
No. I mean,
and they definitely wouldn't have hosted, right?
No.
And if they're not hosting. They're not also. I also don't think they're visiting because no fans would go to. I don't think they would go to watch them. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't. It never made sense, unfortunately.
If they bring a Utah game to, I guess Lake Tahoe.
There's got to be somewhere there. There's got to be something. Yeah, dude. Oh my god. Yeah. Could you imagine? That was supposed to be the original idea during COVID. Was somewhere up in the mountains. Like if you've ever played like Chell in the past like 5, bro, you ever see like the commercial? I don't know what commercial it was, but like it would just be like, hey, we're here in like the mountains, here's an ice rink, and we're just do that with an NHL game. It could totally be done.
Lake Louise.
That'd be gorgeous, dude. Lake Louise would be unbelievable.
Yeah, Lake Louise would be insane. I kind of want to add a little bit of trivia. I don't know if we can get it. Like how many outdoor games has there been? What do we have?
Oh my God. Okay, so now this is including everything, like Heritage Stadium, Winter, what Centennial Classic. Dear God, there's got to be like, and they've also
I've got an answer.
Like 2003. When was the first one?
It was like 03, 04. It was like Montreal and Edmonton with the Joseph Theodore, the freezing games, got Cook on and all that, right? Okay. So I've got an answer. This doesn't include the two that are scheduled.
Okay.
Right.
And this also doesn't include the Florida one as scheduled because it hasn't been officially unveiled yet. So you guys can guess this.
You want to do a closest? You want to do a closest two?
I looked it up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna answer it.
So Dave, it's just you, brother. You're competing against yourself.
I'm still going to lose. Okay, for some reason, the first number that popped into my head, and I feel like it's going to be a low ball, but it's 45.
That's a really good guess. It's a slight high ball. The answer is 41 with 2 on the way, and we also know the Florida one. So with the ones that are planned and reported, you'd get to 44. So like you're very, very damn close there, brother.
I'll just quickly, like, my reasoning there was I started 1 because they were only doing 1 for like the first 7 to 8 years before they started adding heritage, whatever, the stadium, all
stadium
of those.
series,
so then they kind of like even the scale. So I think it became like almost an average of 2 winter games a year by this year. So I was like, I'll just shoot for 20, for 40, whatever, 45.
The number in my head was like 38. So yeah, like it's we kind of had an idea, but I don't know. I know everyone says that they're bored of them. I'm not. Just for the jersey matchups, I love seeing new jerseys. Chicago nailed theirs this year. I don't really like St. Louis's, but we're done. We did enough today. But yeah, jersey talk, I could go way too long. You got your Italy jerseys today. I don't need to do more.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah.
As Dave finishes up a little sneeze just to make sure he's got the outro in good shape.
What a time to sneeze. Just coming off a little bit of a flu. It's not even flu. It's a little cold. It's cold season in Canada, as you know. But we had one heck of a show today. I want to thank Mando for coming on, blessing us with his face. You can also catch Mando on the Second Look podcast. We call it Second Look Sports podcast. So you'll see Mando on there if you want his awesome, just general sports takes. Mando will make appearances from time to time on this podcast as well. Mando, thank you for blessing us with your time and grace today. Cristian, man, thank you for spoiling that Leaf game before for me.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
On that note, I'm not going to take up any more time. What a great episode, and we'll see you guys here next week.